Have you ever wondered what the best run in Binding of Isaac is? Welcome to the video. We are going to be ranking all of the different runs, or I guess completion marks, in Binding of Isaac Repentance. Yet again, I am joined by Turtier. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Turt, and I think Guppy's tail steals your keys.
Yeah, that's a good one. We've done a lot of lists at this point, but we're going to keep it going. This is a really unique one, I think. I haven't seen anybody that's talked about this. The most important part of Isaac is the runs, right? Well, I guess you could say the items. Either way, what are you going for, right? What bosses are you fighting? How do you get to them? What is the run like that you're getting to that boss? You know what I mean?
Yep. So these are the completion marks, right? So you have to do these if you want to get 100%. And then also if you want to play the game, even if you've got 100%, sometimes you'll want to play the game. What run would you want to go for? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's basically what we're ranking here.
Like replayability.
We'll try.
Stuff like that.
There will be a bit of personal bias in this list. It's a bit harder to get rid of personal bias in this list in particular. But we'll still try to look at the actual design, if it's good for the game, stuff like that.
Right. Okay, so let's get right into it. Starting with Mom's Heart. So with these first three, obviously, if you've played the game enough runs, over 20 runs, or if you've won over 20 runs, then you're kind of done with this. But what is it? This is more so relevant for a new file. These first three marks.
Yep. So
starting with Mom's Heart. Technically, the very first run is Mom, but we're not gonna rank that. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, if it's just the Mom's Heart, if I try to put myself back at the start of the file, do I think Mom's Heart is a good final boss? I guess is the question. Well, is one part of it at least. But it's just the cookie cutter normal run, right? I mean, a lot of these are the normal run, right? But
I mean, even in daily challenges, you might get a daily challenge where it's finished at Mom's Heart, or you might play one of the regular challenges that finishes at Mom's Heart.
That's a good point.
You can do some runs that finish.
Yeah, there are actually. Now that I think about it like that, that's a good point. A lot of the challenges end at Mom's Heart, so and it's still satisfying to end there. I think. The only one that's unsatisfying in the challenge runs to me are when it ends at Mom's Foot.
Yeah, Mom's Foot is too early.
Yeah.
We maybe should have ranked it just because it's in dailies, but if Mom's Foot was here, it's probably in the eel tier.
Yeah, probably ew. It's just too short. That's all. It's just too short.
Yeah, it's way too short.
Mom's Heart is, I think, long enough, right? I think it's okay, especially for somebody who hasn't played the game that much. Either way, I think I'm feeling kind of mid, right?
I think mid as well. I do think it is a bit on the short side. I'm used to the longer
runs.
I will say, so you have to fight this boss, I want to say 11 times.
I think it's 11, yeah.
Point, and then you can start going to Cathedral or Shoal without getting a Devil or Angel deal. You can go there early if you get a Devil or Angel deal on that final floor, but it's a bit less likely. Well, yeah, when you get It Lives unlocked, it's guaranteed. Now, I do think it's good that for a new player, your win condition is Mom's Heart, and I do think it's good that early on, you have an easier win condition, and then as you get better at the game, it unlocks more. However,
and by the point
11 is a little bit excessive. I think it could have been 5 wins.
Yeah, maybe. I could agree with that. The point of fighting it over and over again, at the very least, and you're right, maybe it would be better with just 5, right? But I think at least the idea of fighting him so much to a point where, you know what? Now it's an easy boss. I've fought it so much. So now this is just a stepping stone to the real run. And I guess that's a good segue into these two. But
just a second longer on that one. I think when you first play the game, your very first save file, you're not really gonna notice that much because, I mean, you don't have the rest of it unlocked yet. Maybe if you watch YouTubers and you know there's more to the run, you might be a little bit frustrated that it ends at Mom's Heart, but otherwise you're gonna be satisfied, and then you unlock more. But when you go to your second file and you're a better player, it is a bit annoying that you have to do 11 runs.
Yeah.
Even 3 runs.
And that's a fair point. I feel like, and if we're gonna talk about the boss itself, I actually think the Mom's Heart boss fight's pretty good though. It's a little bit I mean, obviously we've done it. This is probably this and Mom's Foot are probably the most done bosses in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like even though like we know it, like I still get hit every now and then, as crazy as that is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It has a decent gameplay loop, I think.
Yeah. At the very least, I don't dislike this boss. It goes in mid, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Okay. So I think piggybacking off of what we said here, one of the things I actually like about these, this is probably a contender about these more than this one, is the idea that, you know, since you fought the Mom's Heart so often, eventually you're going to be able to beat it without taking red heart damage, right? And thus you are likely to get a devil or angel deal. And I think that that's actually a really on a new file. I think that's a really fun way of getting these new boss achievements.
I will say, if you couldn't get to those achievements early from the devil or angel deals, I would be a lot more frustrated with the early parts of the run.
Right.
Now what I do is I challenge myself. I will take intentional red heart damage on earlier floors, and I'll have 100% for wound 2, and then I'll try to keep it so I can unlock the early parts of the run of the file faster by guaranteeing I can go to Isaac and Satan before I actually have them unlocked.
Right.
I do like doing that.
I think that's honestly a really fun part of these runs. Obviously, these marks are mostly here for the small period before you unlock dark room and Polaroid. I mean,
other way around, chest and dark room.
Yeah. I meant like I'm just talking about both of them in general. But yeah, what is it? So I don't know. I think that's a minor thing to bring up as well. Ending at Satan or Isaac is still, honestly, if I really think about it, it's still a pretty satisfying end. I mean, hell, in Flash Isaac and Satan were the final bosses, right?
There was chest, but there wasn't dark room.
Right.
But yes.
Right. So yeah, I don't know, and I still think that they're kind of fitting final bosses, even if there was no Blue Baby or Lamb. I mean, hell, even just the idea of like fighting Satan at the end, like I feel like that's, you know.
To be honest, I like the idea of these final bosses better than the chest and dark room ones.
I kind of do too. You're fighting literally Satan, and you're fighting Isaac himself. Like that's contextually pretty cool.
I mean, this will matter for the chest list, I guess, but I actually find Isaac to be a harder boss than Blue Baby. So
I do at times too, actually. And I think both fights are interesting. I don't know.
I think it's, if we're taking turns rating them, I do still think this goes in mid. I don't want to put them in great because I think there's better, but it's in mid above the heart, I think.
That's fair. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to rank them in the same basic spot.
Yeah.
Which do we like better, Satan? Basically, it's just the boss. What do we like better, Satan or Isaac?
I think I like fighting Isaac more. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I think the cathedral's a cooler location. I think it like.
I do think cathedral's a cooler location, but I like Shiel's music better. Wrath. Anyway, actually, I'd make an argument that Satan feels like a better final boss. He has 3 phases, that are obvious phases, and I like actually, like when he's leading up into the fight. I know that everybody does this, but it's still fun, like to time the bomb on the what is it called, the Forsaken that he spawns? The Fallen. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a fun little thing. And I like. Oh, and you know what? No, I actually am gonna hard argue for this because I think I like the idea that back when this was the final boss, Satan, that is, that his final form is Mom's foot, basically, just harder. I think that's kind of cool in a way. Like you're being brought back.
I actually don't think that's cool. I think it's.
I think it's cool.
I think the Isaac boss attacks are more interesting. I like the aesthetic of the fight.
But they're just tears. And the
like
Holy Beam.
Stuff.
The Holy Beam's cool, but I think there's just more attacks in general to Satan.
Not really.
No, there are.
I thought I didn't care, but now I'm gonna hard agree for Isaac. Because, okay, you fight the Fallen, which, like, whatever, it's just a boss in the game. And then you fight Satan, and he literally just does some shots at you, and if you go below him, he does a Brim Beam. or he sometimes does out of his hands. Like, okay, cool.
He's crazy
does,
though.
Then he does mum stomps and spawns like some enemies. I don't think it's that exciting to fight. But Isaac, I feel is like a lot more unique. You're fighting yourself, like that's kind of cool. And
okay,
like,
I mean, yes, I get it, but what's cooler, fighting yourself or fighting Satan?
I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I just don't feel like the Satan fight isn't as memorable as the Isaac fight. But I don't like.
No, you know what? No, I'm changing my mind again. Listen, I know that Isaac came first, so it's maybe it's a little wrong of me to do it, but Isaac's too similar to Blue Baby. All right. I should say Blue Baby's too similar to Isaac. It drops points for both of them for me. Tell me they're not similar right now.
Look,
at least Lamb is completely different from Satan.
I don't care too much, but I think Isaac is better. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. They're next to each other for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically in the same spot, to be fair. Okay, fine, whatever.
Chest. I'll put chest in... Part of me wants to put it in mid because I think it's too easy of a run, but I'll put it in great. I think I want to put it in mid only because I'm at the point of the game where like a chest run is too easy that...
Yeah, for a long time, these two were the only final bosses.
Yeah, this is what people go to for streaks. I personally like to streak a little bit harder runs because I feel like chest and dark room, like I'm not a god at the game. Like if I'm playing the Lost, I'm gonna die on a streak. But if I'm playing like a regular character, I'm very rarely gonna die on on like a chest or dark room streak. But I do think that, I mean, people do streak them a lot. They are the most basic type of run. Yeah, and if you're just doing a normal run, I do think it should go in great, even if I personally would put it a little bit lower, but I think I'm a bit biased, so I think it should actually be in great.
I definitely think it should be at least great. I'm trying to think of what would be in goated.
I can think of a few.
Yeah, I guess I can too. All right, fair enough. Great. I mean,
I think it's good. It's like the basic run. And it's pretty good. Like, the game is good.
Yeah, and it's satisfying. The run's pretty long at this point. Like, I feel like it's a good length.
Yeah. You do get a lot of items on the final floor, which kind of makes the game a bit easier. But, like, it's fun as well.
It is fun to get to those final items. And you know what? I mean, again, I think we could immediately... you don't feel like this is a different tier than chess, do you?
I don't think it's different, no.
Okay,
but,
so...
Yeah,
I think different. The idea... that Repentance did with this is really, really interesting. I love the idea now that instead of just curse chests, each curse chest now gives you a devil deal. I think that's super unique. I think that's really fun.
Yep.
I mean, hell, if we're talking about fun factor, that's really unique. Maybe even arguable to put it above chest. Chest is just so classic, though.
I was gonna put it above chest as well. For a few reasons. I think Blue Baby is a little bit boring of a boss. I think Lamb is a bit better as a final boss. And I do like the aesthetic of chest. We are counting aesthetic a little bit, like, not too much, but just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I do like the idea of the chest. It makes sense, like, for the lore of the game. But I think Dark Room is just better as, like, a... I don't know, I think the boss is better. I do like the devil items that are added now. I think without the devil items, it was probably just worse than chess. But now with the devil items, I do think it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like Dark Room a little bit more.
And honestly, like,
pretty close together.
Sometimes when I fight Lamb, even nowadays, I'm like, the Lamb is kind of a crazy fight. I mean, obviously that only is the case when I have, like, a really bad run. But, like, I don't know. Like, it's definitely way more epic than the Blue Baby fight.
Very slight bonus. Very, very slight bonus. You can try to get here early
and sacrifice room, yeah.
If you're crazy, and then
that crap is fun though. No, you're right. You're right. That's fair.
I don't think it should go up a tier for that, but it is a nice bonus.
No. Yeah. I know. That's a good point though. It's a good point to at least put it above chest. Obviously, they're very similar, so it makes sense for them to be right next to each other.
Okay.
Mega Satan, Mega Santa.
I think I'm placing this one. Mega Satan. I'm willing. yeah, I'm willing to put this in goated. I think.
Goated.
Do you disagree?
I'm really not against it. I do not think this is the best run in the game.
I don't either, but I do think it is a tier above Chest and Darkroom.
Yeah, you're probably right. It is satisfying, and it's a very satisfying final boss. Back in the Rebirth days, this was the quintessential final boss.
Yeah.
And it was secret too. Back then, this was a secret boss that didn't even have a mark on the completion screen. You just did it just to do it. I don't even think you unlocked items from it. It was just
still,
like
you don't really unlock items from it. You just get babies.
You do for some characters, right? I think all the tainted characters give you good stuff.
The tainted characters do, but the regular characters only give you babies.
Yeah, because back then they cared a lot more about the co-op
Although
babies for some reason.
You do get Mega Blast for doing it on every character, but that's the only real thing you get.
Well, I think you get really unique stuff from the tainted characters. To be fair, like you get that's
the
where you.
I'm not. The tainted characters do actually have good unlocks. I like the Mega tainted character unlocks.
Okay, either way, we're not talking about the unlocks. Either way, contextually it's cool. Again, it goes back to why I like Satan as a final boss, is because you're fighting literally Satan, and it is Mega Satan. Obviously, Satan is a boss from Flash, so they couldn't make it as like epic as they wanted to back then, and obviously they're referencing Flash Satan here. But Mega Satan feels like, I don't know, it feels like you're fighting frickin' Satan, you know? And I mean, he's spawning all of his like dominions or whatever.
I'll say the Mega Satan final boss is the Satan boss I would have wanted. Like, I think the regular Satan boss is kind of an underwhelming Satan boss. But
and again, I think that's
just
just because obviously they're trying to remake the Flash fight. So I wouldn't really put that against the regular Satan fight.
No, you still need to talk about it. Like, yes, they're remaking the Flash fight, but it's
I definitely prefer they kept it the same, and I'm glad they did. I think it's important.
I'm happy they kept it the same as well, but you still have to say like, oh, this is what it is. Like, it doesn't matter the reason they kept it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously this is better. This is better, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, and the fact that like, okay, obviously it is important to note that you need to get the key pieces. But I think contextually it's cool that like in order to fight basically what's Satan is you need to get angel deals, or theoretically you need to get angel deals, or no matter what you have to fight the angels to fight Satan, and then he has like the fallen angels in the middle of his fight.
See, I personally think that doesn't make much sense. Why are you killing angels to then fight Satan? Isn't that like backwards?
The idea is that Mega Satan has been locked behind the door, like he's sealed, but then you unlock the seal. The seals are held by the angels, so that you steal the seals from the angels, unlock the door to kill the beast. Well, not the beast, but you know what I mean. Satan. Mega Satan.
I actually never thought about it like that, and I do like that.
Yeah, it's cool. Contextually, it's cool. Like, you're unlocking the seal, you're fighting him.
That makes a lot more sense.
He's out now. He's unsealed, so if you don't kill him, he's gonna break Isaac's mind or whatever. I don't care about the lore of Isaac, but you get my point. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's fair to put it in goated. I think the run is fun. It's fun to try and get the key pieces. It's unique in a way that you don't want to get devil deals, and instead you're really motivated to get angel deals.
I will say it does suck a little bit that you have to go you don't have to go angel deals on a Mega Satan run, except on some characters you do.
I think
Lost you can't play Sacra rooms, so you basically have to go angel.
That's
runs.
true.
And it is a little bit unfortunate. Like, let's say you wanted to streak some of these runs. If you wanted to streak Mega Satan, you basically can't really.
Yeah, you can't really streak Mega Satan. It's too like.
Which is unfortunate. Like, oh, it's so unfortunate to me. But I don't think it's enough to put it down a tier, but it is very unfortunate to me. I kind of wish that you could bomb the Devil Deal statues and fight demonic angels and still get the key pieces.
Right.
Or I have like some alternative. Like, I don't know, maybe if you get the like proper key pieces, you have to go to Cathedral to unlock that door, and that's Mega Satan. And then if you get it from Devil Deals, you have to go to Dark Room, and then it's still Mega Satan, but it's just you have to go to Dark Room instead. Like, they could have done that. I would have liked that. But like, yeah, it does suck a little bit. You have to go for Angel Rooms, and even beyond that, sometimes you will do everything right. You will skip your Devil Deals. You get your first Devil Deal now in Repentance. Actually, before Repentance, I might have put this on the.
I was about to say that before Repentance, I would have unironically put it in mid because of it, and I know that's
I
a
could
big.
actually kind of see that.
I know it's a
very
big departure, but yeah.
sometimes where you're on a lost run, you're playing the lost, so you can't get a sack room to force the key. Sack room is also massive. If that wasn't a thing, that'd be terrible. But you're playing a lost run, so you can't use a sack room to force the key. You skip your devil deal, and then you hit your 50-50. It's a devil deal. Okay, well I might get one. Nope, you got another devil deal. Oh, I guess you missed Mega Satan. Lol, skill issue. Except you couldn't have done.
Yeah, it honestly kind of goes into like a delirium spawn. Situation.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, which really sucks ass. Anyway, it's goated. Let's move. Let's move on.
You at least
this
get the first angel room. After you get the first angel room, you now get the key piece, which raises your angel chance. If you need more angel chance, you can donate to your donation machine to get a bit more angel chance. You'll probably get it now in Repentance. However, I have still had runs where I've done everything right, and I still get rolled.
Yeah, it still happens. That is frustrating. I'm just glad with the sacrifice. With the sacrifice inclusion, I think overall it's a much better run, and I really appreciate it.
You can usually force this now, which is good. It is more consistent than it used to be, and I do like the fight. We haven't actually really talked much about the fight, but I do like the fight. I think it's the right difficulty. It's easy for us at this point, but I think I think it's the right difficulty. I mean, it does get a bit easier that chest and dark room kind of give you so many items that you're always going into this fight kind of busted, but I do like the fight. I do like the as you were saying before, like the waves of everything. Like you're fighting like I don't know. It's like a mini boss rush, and then you're fighting like an actual boss. I actually really like the fight. It's actually one of my more favorite fights in the game.
It's a good fight.
Even if it is, I just like it. It also is good that in Repentance they gave the second phase boss armor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mega Satan's great. I feel good about it being goated.
Yep.
So. I know Turtier has a lot to say about boss rush here. I guess it's my turn now. So the thing with this is that this is probably the most relevant part of the list that has to do with the run itself more than the actual boss, like in quotation marks. The run itself, for anyone who doesn't know, you have to beat Mom's Foot in under 20 minutes, which is very steep. Yep. It's a lot of floors to beat in under 20 minutes. Turtier is going to say in a bit here that he doesn't like.
You just place it first. I'll say it.
He doesn't like it. Okay, if it were just me, with no outside interruptions, I'd unironically put boss rush in great.
Okay.
Not goated, because that's crazy.
Here's why you're wrong. No, I'll let you go.
Okay, so my argument for boss rush, and a lot of people don't like boss rush. This is not just Turt. My argument for boss rush is that it's one of those achievements that you have to play the game very differently, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think like the way you approach the run is so different. Obviously, you're trying to go fast, but there's different strats that you need to imply, right? The moment you start the run, like everything is hectic. Right, you know, for an experienced player, like every single time you start a run, you're like, whatever. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. For every single one of these runs, even the hardest runs, well, maybe not, with the exception of Mother, but every run besides Mother, every floor is piss ass easy when you're experienced. Even an experienced player, because you talk about replayability, this is one of the most replayable achievements, as crazy as it seems, because every single time, yes, the floors are still easy, but you got to play it fast. So you're going to take a lot more hits. You're going to play a lot more risky. You're not going to be able to min-max nearly as much. So it's risky, even for an experienced player, especially on harder characters. And I think it's always exciting. Can you have runs that kind of screw you over? Yeah, but you can with Mega Satan too. You know, maybe you don't get the damage ups that you need. Maybe you don't. Or maybe you're playing a slow character that makes it really, really difficult. But either way, the way you play, this is one of the most skill-based achievements in the game, because it's hard to steamroll it. It really is, unless you like reset for like some insane item at start. But I'm not talking about resets coming.
Yeah, I don't resets coming either. So yeah, we're not counting resets coming at all.
Yeah. So overall, I think honestly, it's a fun gameplay loop. Whenever I go for boss rush on a character, like it feels like a completely unique run, even though it's technically the same floors. It feels unique. And playing Isaac fast is a different experience. It just is. Now, and I want to also say, I don't care that much about the boss rush itself. But with all the stuff that I said, if boss rush was fun, I'd unironically put it in goated. Unironically.
Okay.
That's how much I like the run.
So the funny thing is, I'm listening to your arguments. I'm like, yeah, no, I can see why you think this. I can see why you think this. And then, but still, a lot of the points you make, I actually have the opposite point. Like, for example, you said it is one of the more skill-based marks, and I kind of agree with that. But I actually also completely disagree with that. So I might be going on for a little bit long. I hope you don't mind. But I have a lot of points to make about boss rush, and why I don't like it. Now I will preface, I am a slow player. My average playtime is probably like 1.5 hours for a like Mega Satan or a Mother run. And like a Delirium run as well, I guess. A Beast run is probably like a lot shorter. But yeah, my average playtime is like fairly long. I would usually get to depth 2 on a normal run between like 48 minutes and an hour. Like, I am pretty slow. So if I'm not trying for boss rush, I will miss boss rush. I need to...
I think everybody misses boss rush if they don't try it. If they're not going for boss rush, they will always miss it. Almost always.
Some people
unless you're like Azazel,
have a naturally fast enough play style that they can still kind of make it, or at least
not really, not boss
like
rush.
25 minutes.
That's one of the
25 minutes.
That's one of the reasons.
Like 45 minutes.
I mean, I know we're not Hush yet, but that's one of the reasons why I actually like the mom's foot timer better, even because it's so strict in a way that you need to go for it. Like, your run is focused on boss rush. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever, continue.
Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, I am a very min-maxy type player. So I do like to take my time. So that is, I'm completely acknowledging there is some personal bias, as it's not really my style. However, I do think it not being my style is an important point to make. I think boss rush is like, kind of alienates players in a way. So I've got a comparison to make. There's a lot of roguelikes have a speedrun achievement. So out of ones I've played, there's Spelunky. There's the Speedlunky achievement, beat the game in 8 minutes. And recently I've been playing Slay the Spire. My runs in Slay the Spire are 1.5 hours on average, same as Isaac. But there's a achievement, beat the whole game in 20 minutes. And that achievement, I looked at it and it looked daunting. I did it a few days ago. It wasn't that bad. Now, it was actually fun as well. It wasn't that bad and it was fun to really rush and play the game in 20 minutes. But you know what's good? I never have to do it again. It was fun once, okay? I didn't mind having to change my playstyle and play completely different and go all hectic, just skipping cards and rushing through floors. That was fun once. If I had to do that as every character on every Ascension level, I actually just might drop the game. I would hate that, okay? I would hate it. It's fun once. Boss rush, I think, is good to have in the game. I don't think it's good having the game as a completion mark. A good example is, I think it's good to have in the game the achievement to beat the lamb in 20 minutes. It's a tough achievement. I'm actually not too huge of a fan of it either, but you have to do it once. It lets you play differently once, and then you're done with it. But this is a completion mark. You have to do this run 34 times. And, like, it's not too hard of a requirement. Like, getting Speedlunky beating Spelunky in 8 minutes, or getting Speed Climber in Slay the Spire, it's a lot harder of a time to wait, mate. Much harder of a time.
I'm not comparing this to other games. Stop comparing it to other games.
Because I think it is relevant to my point. Where other games can have a speedrun achievement, and it's less like it's more of a a thing you have to go for. Like,
Isaac,
it's very strict.
Isaac makes more sense. Isaac makes more sense for it to be an achievement. I'd make the argument for. I mean, not an achievement. You know what I mean? Completion mark.
Completion mark, yeah.
Because there's so many runs in the game. Like, in the grand scheme of things, you said 38 times. 38 times is nothing in the grand scheme of things. That is nothing. Do you see how many achievements there are and how many characters there are? This is the only time, basically, in the entire game. Like, yes, Hush has a timer, but, like, come on. Hush's timer is almost irrelevant. This is the one time in the game.
Hush's timer a fair amount as well.
Enough. You're right, but it's not something you are as worried about when you need to get a Hush achievement. Boss rush. The immediate moment you click that start character screen, it's the only time, even for skilled players, that you're nervous, right? You're like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And 38 is nothing. It's not like you're doing it too much compared to, I mean, a lot of these even. Hell, even doing chest and negative feel way too similar. You know what I mean? And you're doing that twice.
Let me go on a bit longer because I do have more to my point. The time of a boss rush isn't actually that strict. 20 minute, I even as a min-maxing player, if I turn off my min-maxing brain, I can get boss rush most of the time. There are still some runs where
but that's a good thing. You should be able to get it.
No, which I think is fine. I think it is good that it's not that strict. If this was like 15 minutes,
that'd be way too insane.
Like, a lot.
15? No, 15. That'd be ridiculous. They wouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, again, they have that one achievement that beat the lame in 20 minutes, which is ridiculous. But I'm happy that's a one-off. Like, I like that that's in the game as a one-off achievement, not as a completion mark. But anyway, yeah. The thing with boss rush is, so you said it's very skilled. I can still get it, even as a min-maxing player. I can still get it a fair amount of the time. If I'm
as you should.
However,
you have over 1,000 hours.
What is frustrating is there's sometimes where I'll miss it, and it does not feel like my fault at all. You can, like, it can be very simple things. I will sometimes start a run, and I will just go. I will only pick up my item rooms if they're close to me, and I will just go. And sometimes I don't find my item room on the whole floor, but I'm at the boss, I should probably go down the floor. Because I know from other runs where if I go to try to find that item room, I'm going to run out of time. So I just need to leave the floor. And then maybe I miss a few item rooms. I'm low on items now. Now my damage is bad. And now I can't kill enemies fast enough. Oh, and now I get a room with like a specific enemy that takes a long time to kill. Oh, this room sucks. Oh, there's a big room. Okay. Oh, well, turns out I just went the complete opposite direction of the boss. And there was no way for me to know that. So now I have to go all the way back. Oh, I ran out of time. And that happens to me a fair amount. And it's just so frustrating. Where I run out of time and it does not feel like my fault. You said it's one of like the less luck-based things. I actually think this is the most luck-based run on the list.
That's insane.
For me in Isaac in general, one of the reasons I like Isaac is that a lot of people will think it's a luck-based game, and there is a lot of luck. I'm not denying that, but I do think that the luck in Isaac is a bit overblown. People think like the game.
You can manipulate the luck is the biggest thing. Like you can manipulate the luck. It's a little different.
Yes, exactly. Like, it is still true that if your first item room is Tech X, you're going to have a much easier run. But still, if you're getting a bad item in your first item room, that is not the end of the run. You can find ways to milk the floors, and eventually you'll hit, like, rock bottom or something. If you really, like, try to look, you will find one of those good items, and you will turn a losing run into a winning run. And I like that. There's a lot you can do to kind of change the odds into your favor. With Boss Rush, you don't have time to do that. So, yeah, you don't have time to do that. So now you are actually at mercy of what the game gives you.
But that's a good thing for only 38 of the completion marks.
It's actually 34, it's even less. But
that's so like again, this is to me you're saying reasons that make it even better. It's unique.
I know.
Uniqueness is good. In a game, in a roguelike especially. If you have an achievement or a completion mark or whatever the frick that is unique. The run is unique. And you play the game completely differently.
Well, here's the thing actually. If
that changes how you play the game.
Okay, if you want to play the game safe, as in you don't risk missing delivery.
Then don't do boss rush.
No, listen. My pathing usually to get all the marks is I will do boss rush into chess. I will do Dark Room into Mega Satan, I will do Hush into Delirium, a Mother, Beast, and then Greedier mode. So that's 6 runs on each character that you can consistently get all the marks in, right? Makes sense. So 1 in 6 runs is a boss rush run. And then 1 in 6 runs is a Hush run. So you have to rush for a third of your runs. It is actually quite a lot. And I think the Hush time is a lot more lenient, so that's fine. But that's still 1 in 6 runs you have to rush, which I think is too much. For like
yeah, but that's when trying to that's not a fair argument at all. That's when you're trying to min-max your own files, which is fair, but not for this list. This list is about the run itself. Let's just assume for a second that boss rush is the final boss of the run.
Oh no, I was responding to your argument that it's only 34 runs.
But that's wrong,
saying
because that's not what we're talking about. Well, this is let's assume boss rush is the final boss of the run, which granted is a bit of a, you know, a disappointing final boss, but you get my point. Like, the run ends here. You're not doing 1/3 of your runs that are rush achievements. That's not fair, because you could also end on boss rush or lose after boss rush, which has happened. And then, you know, then you gotta do a normal run, which you can min-max and do whatever the heck you want. That's not fair.
Was just that it is more of the file than you think. You're saying it's just 34 runs.
No, but no, because I'm not including having to beat chest or having to beat, you know what I mean? Like, that's not fair to boss rush. I'm talking about by itself. And in the file, by itself...
does boss rush and then beats boss rush and quits out the run.
Yes, yes, but anything past boss rush is a bonus at that point, and you know it. Boss rush is the hardest achievement that you're going for in that run. If you do more, it's a bonus. If you don't, whatever, I got boss rush.
Okay, then even if you get boss rush done, then you die immediately, and then you have to redo the run again, it's still 1 in 7 of your runs.
Yes! Which is nothing! Do you really think 1 in 7 of your runs playing the game in a unique way is a bad thing? That is not that many runs.
Look, if I really hated it, like, I wouldn't like the game. But so it's not like terrible. It doesn't ruin the game for me, but I just do wish it didn't exist. I would be happier if boss rush didn't exist, because I don't want to have to rush for 1 in 7 runs. I would be fine if it was an optional thing. I don't want... Like, okay, I love boss rush as a thing that exists in the game, that if you want to, you can get some extra items by going fast. I love that, because I would personally just never do it and never take the extra items.
Well, that's just not... That's just not enough of a reward. It would have to be, like, guaranteed quality 4 items for that or something. Like... That's not a good enough reward. 1 item. Maybe if it's all 4 items.
It's actually 2 items. You get one at the same
I guess that's true. But either way, I don't think 2 items is worth doing boss rush. You're going to lose way too much health.
It's not really, but, like, I do like that there's, like, a little side mode there. I just do wish that it was optional. Or at least you didn't have to do it.
Man, I can't help but disagree. Like, I know you keep saying, I wish it wasn't. But for something, I think in any game, something to be limiting is a good thing, right? Because it makes you learn more about the game. I mean, tell me right now that you did not learn how to play the game faster trying to get boss rush achievements.
I didn't really.
You're lying. Unless you just reset until you got good items.
I don't reset until I get good items, but what ends up happening in my boss rush runs is sometimes I will take what I get in the first item room, and then I have a terrible run. It has bad damage. It's not my fault, because normally I would min-max to fix that. I can definitely min-max and fix a run with low stats and make it into a run with good stats, but I don't have time for that in boss rush.
That's the point! That's why it's cool! You have to play different.
It's all luck-based.
No, it's not!
Because then you lose because you have no damage.
The only characters that it's luck-based for is, like, Tainted Laz and Tainted Cain.
Oh, and I think that's bad as well. I was actually going to make...
Well, no, that is bad. No, that is bad. But I'm not talking about the characters. Well, no. The characters punish the achievement. You got... No. Don't put that on that. Boss Rush came before Tainted Laz and Tainted Cain.
No. We are talking about, is this a good completion mark for the
And it is.
Is this
but for most of the characters.
Making future characters can potentially be a very bad matchup with you.
No, it just makes those characters bad. It doesn't make the achievement worse. It makes the characters bad.
No, I think it's a bad design decision to have this as a required achievement.
At the time when Boss Rush was made, there was not a single character that was bad for Boss Rush, except maybe Maggie, but that's only because she has low speed. It's not really as relevant. I think you should only include the characters that it came out with, because then, guess what? When they create the characters, they should have made them with Boss Rush in mind.
I think that is like a bit of a fair argument, but I still think we should look at it at what it is right now.
Well, yes, I agree, but those characters are bad, like, for the game, like, because of that. But that's I wouldn't put that against Boss Rush, because Boss Rush, it...
Still, there's a reason I brought up Slay the Spire earlier. I really appreciated that there was a speed climber achievement, as daunting as it looked for me as a player who likes to take their time. I did like that, because I did get to experience something new.
Alright, whatever. Put it in its tier. I'm tired of hearing your same arguments again. Where would you put it?
Well, I was gonna go on a bit like.
Oh my god. Okay, no, you weren't lying when you wanted to talk a long time about this. We've been on this for 20 minutes. Put somewhere.
This will be the Boss Rush tier list, okay? Okay.
Put it somewhere.
Listen.
Put it somewhere.
Ill tier, easy.
Okay, so it's mid. There you go.
Okay, I still want to talk about it more.
No! We've talked so much about it.
Hey, I let you talk uninterrupted for your entire duration, and I just want to talk uninterrupted a bit longer, okay?
You talked 3 times my duration, Turt! What the hell do you mean?
I have more to say about it.
Alright, what is the topic that you want to bring up?
Okay, I think that there's a luck-based element to this where
You've already brought that up.
You basically... No, instead of needing to, you didn't really let me finish the point. So like obviously there'll be some runs that are weak, and then what eventually ends up happening is you lose runs that are weak, and then you get a run that you start with like Cricket's Head or Tech X, and now it's easy. So I don't feel like this achievement is skill-based at all. I feel like what happens is
any run would be done if you get Cricket's Head or Tech 10 on first floor. Any run. Name one run that would be still hard after getting that first floor.
No, that is true. But
it's irrelevant. That's an irrelevant point. Every single run is easy at that point.
Boss Rush requires it more.
It never requires it. It never requires it. It never requires it. No run requires a good item.
But no, Boss Rush, at some point, you do require getting enough damage ups. Without min-maxing, you require to get enough damage.
As long as you get your second floor Devil Deal, you're almost always getting what you need.
If you go to the first Devil Deal.
That's what I meant.
I didn't hear. I was clarifying what you said. I don't know. You get runs that have no items, and then you just die. Like, or you don't even die. I just get there too late, is what happens. Like, there's so many runs where I start bombing through the doors, and I do a mad dash, and I went the wrong way. Like, again, now you're putting in the map design, like the floor you actually get is now another luck element, which normally is completely irrelevant to runs. But now the size of your floor, or the enemies you get, or the direction you choose to go, which you have no idea, is now relevant, and you can just miss the achievement because you went the wrong way, which was impossible to know. And I personally, that might be my least favorite thing about it, that you can just go the wrong way. Like, you can start in your starting room and you go left and you should have went right, and there's no way to know that, and you just lost the achievement because of that.
Like, I think the state, I mean, yes, and you're right, that does suck when that happens, but like, again, like, it makes stakes. Yes, the RNG of that does suck in the moment, but when you really think of it, like, think about it, like, that's what makes it exciting, you know? I mean, anything in...
And I do want to also say, your reward for having to rush, especially if you're not a player that likes rushing, your reward for having to rush is a boring challenge where it is easy and you just have to wait for all the bosses to spawn and die.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said I think if we count Boss Rush as an actual boss out of any of these bosses, I do think it's the worst boss. Which is why I didn't put it in goated. I mean, I want to make it clearly apparent. The run itself, to me, because of how unique it is, was goated. But I dropped it to great because of its boss. So I dropped a whole tier because of that, which I think is fair.
I'm actually raising it a tier to put it in eel, because I actually think the run itself I don't like, and then the boss itself I don't like. I would actually put it in dog water. I'm actually raising it a tier to being eel. So, and you're lowering it to being great. I think I want it at the bottom of mid. I'm okay with it being the bottom of mid, but it, like,
I think my points from an objective standpoint, not talking about like skill diff, I think it makes my points are a little bit stronger than yours.
I think so. We're talking about...
I think you rambled a little bit. I think you rambled a little bit too much. My major points are that it's good for the game, because it makes the player do something different. Can you disagree with that? That's a major point.
I think it's bad for the game because it forces you.
It should force you. No. It should force you. It should. Any achievement in any roguelike that forces you to play the game differently is a good thing.
I think there's ways to force you to play the game differently in ways that are still fun with how the game normally is. Now, with Isaac, players will naturally have different playstyles. Some will play fast normally, and then boss rush is completely fine. And then some like to take their time. I obviously personally like to take my time, and I don't think you should alienate.
Okay, take
the players.
No, because you gotta think of it from a perspective of all players. All right. Yes, obviously some people are not gonna like some achievements. I mean that's part of it. No matter what, not everybody is going to like it. But looking at it from the outside, it makes any player have to play.
I'll compare to greed mode. I'm not a huge fan of greed mode. However, you can still kind of play, like you can still take your time with it. Like you can still like lean into a playstyle you like. So yes, it is a little bit annoying that if you don't like greed mode, you still have to play greed mode. However, you can still play it as you want to play it, and it is unique. So I do think greed mode is kind of the boss rush point where it is something different, and I do think that's the strength of it. While boss rush, I don't even necessarily like it is something different, but I don't think it's different in a good way. I think it's just badly designed. I just don't think it should really exist. Again, I'm fine with it as a optional side mode, like an optional thing you can go for. I don't like that it's a completion mark that you have to go for as every character.
I will hard disagree. I will hard disagree. I think it's the only thing on this entire list that makes you play significantly well, I guess greed does too, but greed and boss rush are the only things in the entire run. I mean, the entire game, the only marks that make you play differently, and that alone makes it goated to me.
Wouldn't it personally be a lot better if, as you were saying before, if they made the boss rush items like really good, and then it's an incentive to go fast, but you don't have to? I would be completely fine with that, because I personally would still never take it, because I would rather.
If they did that, I would only accept that change if they made a different rush mark. The fact that it's a rush mark is a good thing. That's my point. It makes you play the game differently. I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that if they made a different 20-minute rush mark of some sort.
We already have a rush mark in Hush that I think is less.
No, that doesn't count as a rush mark to me at all. The run is so different.
It definitely is.
No, even in runs you're not trying to. Like 50% of the time I get Hush, which is crazy because I'm not even trying to get it.
I'm not joking. I never get Hush unless I try for it.
Well, yeah, because you're an insane min-max player. Like, from the average player, they'll like if you have a Steam roll or you get some really good item, you're gonna get Hush like 50% of the time. It just happens. That's the run. I mean, yes, it's still kind of a factor to it, but it's pretty irrelevant overall. If they made it 25 minutes, I could see it. 25 minutes, which honestly I think is a fair time limit for it. I would even argue 25 minutes for this is still easier than boss rush to actually get.
I'm still not a fan of the Hush timer. Like, I hate the timers, but the Hush timer, I am way like I'm way more like I don't care about that one.
Anyway, we've been talking about this for almost 30 minutes now, just boss rush. I still think my points are a little bit more objective, and honestly, even just looking at this, like, you really think that these are more unique?
I don't think more unique. I think better for the game. I think it's better for the game that the new players have to play these runs a few times. I don't think it's good for the game to force people to play in a way they don't want to play.
But you don't. You never need to. No, it's very different. You're forced to fight these in a normal run. You never have to do this mark. Mom's Heart is the final boss.
If you want 100%,
for a long time,
you have to do boss rush on all their characters.
But we're not assuming always 100%. I mean, that's a fact. That is a factor to it. But you know, if you're always
that's a massive factor to it. If it wasn't part of 100%, then I wouldn't care about it. I still wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't think it's a negative.
I mean, I guess you're right.
But I think it's a
but
negative because you have
I guess
to.
you're right. But something that is limiting is a good thing. Is my point.
Again, I think there's ways to do limiting that are better. I guess even you could say it's a bit less relevant now, but back when Angel Deals were kind of just worse, like Devil Deals were clearly better. You could say that having to go Angel Deals for Mega Satan is a limiting factor of the run, and I think that's fine. Like that's good. I just don't think forcing players to like change their playstyle that drastically. I think there's even ways to like change playstyle. Even the challenges. We have the challenge achievements. The speed challenge. Oh my god, I actually like the speed challenge. I can like when things make me go fast. I just don't want to have to do it 34 times in every character.
Oh my god, that's not even an argument because it's so little. It is actually so little. It sounds like a lot when you say it like that, but it's so little in the grand scheme of the game.
It's not
1/3 of the runs. Don't say that because that's not what we're talking about. It's 1 of 7. It's 7, right? 7 marks. It's more than that.
It's 1 in 6, really. Like you can actually do all the characters in 5 marks.
You can, but that's not what we're talking about. All right. When you go for a boss rush, your main focus is boss rush, and that's a good thing. I think any day of the week it should be above these 3. I don't think these do not. I never start a run. I think this honestly has more of a preface on me as an experienced player more than anything, because these are just irrelevant to me as an experienced player, and it's so much smaller in terms of scale.
We're meant to average out our placements, right? We're meant to average out our placements. Boss rush is literal. I'm not joking. Spoilers for when we place Delirium. Boss rush is. I think Delirium is worse designed, so I still put Delirium lower. But I actually don't like Boss Rush more than I don't like Delirium. I legitimately, like, this is my least favorite mark to go for.
We are averaging, but honestly, like, I really...
It should at least...
I'm looking at it as an objective fact. Like, I just think it's all based on the fact that you're not a fast player. You need to look at it from a fast player's perspective. It's a good thing, then.
Okay, neither of our arguments are objective here.
No, mine are. Right. Mine are 100% objective. It's a good thing to limit a player.
No, that's not an objective argument. That's a subjective opinion. That's just not an objective.
No, that's a design point.
It's also subjective for me to say that this literally just is a difference of how you view the game. Where you might think it's good to force players to play in a different way, and I don't think it's good to force players to play in a different way. Those are both valid, different opinions to have. Neither of them are objective. We can't say that either of our opinions are objective here.
All right, fine, let's move on.
I'm fine with that.
Whatever.
Okay.
All right, for me it would have been here though, just so that y'all know.
Yeah, for me it would have been dog water.
Okay. Hush.
Is it my turn to place Hush? Yes, it is.
Sure, go for it.
Hush.
After talking for 30 minutes on boss rush, just on your side.
I didn't know that was gonna happen.
That's just so ridiculous.
I still don't like the timer in Hush, but I would still put this in Great. If it wasn't for the timer, I would put it in Goated. I really like the boss, but I would put it in Great because of the timer.
That's crazy.
Probably top of Great. I do like Hush more than Darkroom.
Honestly, I think Hush is one of the best designed bosses in the game besides its freaking purple tiers.
I agree. I really like the boss fight a lot, and I would go to it more often if it didn't have a timer on it.
It feels like one of the most warranted big room bosses in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that fight.
I even like the room before Hush. Like it's a nice little suit up section.
I like that as well, yeah.
The timer gives you a bit of worry, not too much though.
Here's what I like about the Hush.
The timer is not nearly enough to be a whole tier. I don't think it's relevant enough.
Okay, for me, I I still will miss the hush timer occasionally because in a hush, it is kind of my fault though. With boss rush, it doesn't feel like my fault. I can go like all speed and I'll still miss it sometimes. With hush, that rarely happens. The way I usually miss the hush timer is I think, oh, it's just hush. I have a little bit of time to min-max.
Yeah, hush. If you miss hush, it's almost always
Yeah.
your fault. Like.
If I'm
It's that you're being
purely
too
rushing,
greedy.
Unless I'm tainted Lazarus or tainted Kane, I'm probably getting hush. So I think the time is fine. Again, I don't go to hush as often because on a normal run I will take my sweet time and therefore I will miss the 30 minutes. But that's fine. I'm not gonna knock it that too much. What was I saying about hush? Yeah. Since there is a timer, you still can't go full min-max, so your run will be a little bit weaker than your normal run will be. Which I actually think is a good thing. It makes the boss a little bit more challenging, and you still get that suit up room, so it's okay. It's okay that your run isn't as strong, because you'll get stronger in the room. I do like the whole floor. I actually think is very, very good. I do like the fight quite a lot.
I'd even go as far to say it's definitely goated.
I'm actually okay with that, to be honest. I'm okay with it.
Cause like,
I do wish.
When I really think about it, I don't know, man. I feel like there's so much like, there's quite a bit of depth to Hush, isn't there? Like the little suit up room, the, and again, like just like the slight push to beat, beat Mom's heart in under 30 minutes. The fight is sick. I would argue the Hush fight is, do I like Hush more than Mega Satan as a fight?
Probably do, but I probably don't, and I was going to put it in great, so it's probably still below Mega Satan, but I definitely like the Hush fight more than Mega Satan, though.
I don't know. I think I'm going to make the argument, I think Hush is maybe even above. Because Hush is way more understandable to get the run for. You know? I mean, you were saying earlier.
I will actually say this. For me personally, it probably is top of great because I don't like the timer, but I actually do think the timer here is a lot healthier than it is for boss rush. Like, I don't think it's bad to have this timer in the game. I think the boss rush timer is a bit alienating, but I think this timer isn't bad to have in the game. So yes, I personally don't like it that much, but I still don't hate this mark by any means, and I think the boss is like really good. I think it's a slight shame that I can't go here on most runs.
I think it's basically a guarantee spawn. You know, there are honestly, it would be hard to have a run that you can't make 30 minutes if you're actively trying to get it. Even if you're unlucky.
If you were trying to get it, yeah, if I'm trying to get this, I usually get it. Unless generally, usually I make a mistake. Okay, no. There is still the occasional run where I will get to Womb. I've actually had a run where I got to Womb at like 22 minutes, which should be plenty of time. And I just take the worst pathing possible, and I miss it anyway. Those runs are still frustrating. Boss Rush has the same issue. It's even more frustrating when it happens to Hush, to be honest. But it's not that big of a deal.
I think, it's tough. Because honestly, the Mega Satan factor of like not being able to actually access it is still pretty annoying. And I feel like Hush, you can almost always guarantee it.
Agree with that. I think it's easier to guarantee Mega Satan than it is Hush. I do think that you still can get rooms.
No, no. You cannot guarantee Mega Satan. There are runs where you cannot guarantee,
you can't guarantee
Mega Satan.
But are you telling me that if you get an XL wound floor and you go the wrong way, that you're not gonna miss Hush because of that?
No, because I was quick enough on the previous floor. If you beat the Mom's Foot before 22 minutes, it's basically guaranteed Hush.
No, I have had runs where I beat it at 22 minutes, and I just get such bad rune luck. I get enemies that take too long. My run maybe isn't that strong, so it's taking me a bit longer to do the runes. I don't have many bombs, so I can't bomb through the doors, and I just miss Hush because I took the wrong direction. I've had that happen quite a few times.
I don't know. That doesn't really. Honestly, if I get an XL floor, it makes it way easier. It's just one floor.
But, like if you get like some like bad rooms, I still think.
Anyway, you think it should go? If you think it should go below, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
I do think goated is fine for it though. I do like the boss quite a lot. I will say they changed the like those like what's that like a beam of water, like the tier like column. You know that thing? It leaves the blue creep behind. It's like
No,
that
I don't know.
tier of like, that the two columns of tiers. Like it's a like not even a column. It's like a pillar. Like go straight up. You got that attack. Surely.
We haven't had any ill or dog water yet. All right, moving on to greed.
Just ignore this.
I know. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You spent 35 minutes on boss rush by yourself. All right. Regular greed. So a lot of people hate greed. I'm of the opinion that I think it's fine. It's just like Turt likes to say, it's like a different game. In a way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as different as people give it credit for. You still use almost all the same strats, but yeah. By itself, regular greed. It's kind of hard to like put separate regular greed from greedier. This has a very good part to it that like, Man, I want to put it in great just to fill the space. I don't think it's ill. I'll spoil that right now. I think it'd be, huh?
Me neither. I don't think it's ill.
I don't want to fill out mid, but I don't think it makes great either though. There are factors to it that's nice, but there's also a lot of design flaws to it. I don't even know if it goes higher than this.
See, so greed is a weird thing. I'm actually surprised you're not putting it higher, just because you did seem to really value the different the uniqueness of boss rush, and you don't seem to for greed. But
because greed has a lot of issues.
What are the issues like?
Okay, so the main issues to me are that it feels like. Let me pitch my idea for greed, or even greedier. I think they should get rid of the spikes on the button for the waves. Get rid of the spikes on the button and make it so you get more money for not pressing it. It should be.
I think you do get slightly more money for not pressing it, but it's so slight.
I mean, not enough to be relevant then. I actually don't think it's different though.
Yeah. I might need to check it actually, because it might be just a myth that's not actually true.
I don't think that's true. I mean, hell, they even made it so Lost can press the button for free. So that, like, for runs like Lost, I know we're not really considering specific characters, but you just press the button every single every single wave, and it's just like, what the heck, So I think if there's a risk versus reward of beating the waves and not pressing the button, that's a lot better. That'd be way. Okay, so here's guess what that would be. It would invoke greed, right? You're trying to be greedy, you're trying to get more money, but you're risking it because obviously you're spawning a lot of waves.
So here's actually this is where the myth comes from. So it's actually not a myth. It kind of is, but it's kind of not. You lose 1 penny from the next round if you press the button as the loss.
Oh, okay, so that actually makes sense.
As the characters, you don't take damage from the button, you instead lose money.
Okay.
And other characters, the risk reward is you take damage to take less damage, which is dumb. I do agree that it should just be you always lose money if you press the button. And
yeah,
I think that would make a lot more sense.
I think honestly there should even be maybe a money multiplier or something. Like you get really crazy if you just never press it. I don't know. And I even wish that that's what they did for greedier. Greedier, I'll just go right into that right now, because it's like, okay, so greedier is what my take was for also being in dog water tier with delirium, but I don't think it's. I do think it's not as bad as delirium.
It's not as bad as delirium.
I think it was fine for it. It's just such a design flaw to me, because compared to greed mode especially, greedier is supposed to be the hard mode of greed, right? And why is it that you just get less money? The mode is called greed. It should be the run is harder, but you get more money. You should
Yeah, I agree actually. I like greed mode for the idea But yeah, I still can't really justify putting it in great because I will say, like, when I have to do greed mark on my achievements, I'm kind of like, oh, well, now I have to do greed mode. And what I do is I play greed mode, like, all at once. Like, I do all of it at once and get it out of the way and I don't have to do it ever again. And that probably is not a good sign. It's, like, I don't hate greed mode. I do, like, generally not like going to boss rush, but I don't, like, dislike greed mode that much. But it's also, like, I don't like it either. It's just kind of there. And it's like, it's kind of cool, but it could have been better. I definitely agree with that. So yeah, it probably just is bottom of mid. And then greedier mode, I do think you're right that it kind of doesn't really add much. It does feel a bit lazy. A lot of the Afterbirth Plus feels lazy. We're going to get into Delirium soon. So yeah,
it does
I
feel.
agree with those placements.
It does feel a little lazy. It's just like you just get less money, and that's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, and fair enough to the extra phase of greed as the boss fight for greedier. But I don't know, man. I don't even think that's enough to, like, justify, because, I don't know, man. It just bums me out. It really bums me out, because it doesn't invoke the feeling of being greedy, you know? Like, I don't feel like I'm being greedy, you know?
Yeah, no, I can get that. Yeah, I do like the idea of the mode. It definitely could have been done.
Yeah, conceptually it's a very cool mode, greed mode.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like it could have been made a little bit better. That's all. Yeah, I don't know. That's really it. There are good things about greed.
I don't think mid makes sense for it. Yeah, that's fine actually.
All right. So dog water.
Dog water time. It's dog water time.
Man, I wonder what's going there.
I'm pretty sure we could both go on a rant about Delirium, but do you want to go on a rant about Delirium?
Delirium. Okay, actually no. Let me do the rant. I just realized. So, Delirium, as somebody who 100%ed a base Afterbirth file, right? And then went on to Afterbirth Plus, all types of excited, right? New DLC dropped. Let's frickin' go. New final boss is in the game. Delirium. Fire. Right?
Hype.
Hype. It's complete RNG, how the portal spawns, unless you fight Hush. Let's assume that you always fight Hush to get to it anyway. Hush is already, like, a very finality feeling boss. So you gotta basically go through two. And imagine you're only doing Delirium runs for a second, because in Afterbirth, guess what? Delirium and technically Greed are the only achievements that I have to do for every character, and there's no new characters except for, like, what, Forgotten or Apollyon? It was Apollyon.
Forgotten and Apollyon.
Either way, that's the only bosses that I had to do.
On release, it would have just been Apollyon.
That's all the bosses I had to do. It was just Delirium, and Delirium, the boss itself. Not even talking about the run. The boss itself is an RNG fest. I mean, I guess you could say the whole run is an RNG fest, really. You just run around the room, and this is one of my least favorite things about Isaac when it comes to its bosses. There's so many bosses in the game where you just run around in a circle while shooting, and that's how you dodge it.
I'm actually going to say the exact same thing.
It's just run around the room and shoot and pray that he doesn't hit you. Delirium eventually, basically Delirium has this, like, function, really weird function, where he speeds up the farther you get into the fight. I think it's how much health he has lost.
How much health he has. The lower his health is, the faster it goes. I'm pretty
sure. But once he gets to, like, 3 times his movement speed, it's actually just RNG. Like, you just get hit, and there's no way you could even dodge it. Like, you're not. Even at max speed, I don't even think you're fast enough to... Definitely not fast enough to react. That's for sure. I mean, if you're...
No, the problem is that he can teleport, and if he teleports in front of you and does a shot, I guess your options are either see the future or have a time machine, because you're getting hit.
For real, like... So, the boss itself is not intuitive. It's stupid. Even getting there is RNG if you're not doing Hush. You basically need to be OP in order to beat it because of how RNG the fight is. I never have had a... Honestly, this is crazy for me to say. I don't think I've ever had a Delirium fight where, like, a Delirium W that was just a mid-run. Because...
I've had maybe one.
But I never have a time where I'm like, yes, I beat Delirium. I'm like, oh, thank God I beat Delirium. Which is not a good, like, feeling.
Yeah, I will say. So, I feel like other bosses, obviously, the more skill you get at the game, the easier it should be to beat the boss. And that makes sense. Like, I feel like...
I never feel like I get better at Delirium. That's the problem.
Yeah, you could take me or Mana and put us in the Hush fight with a mid-run. And whether or not we win or lose will be very skill-based. And there's actually, like, a lot of, like, thought, like, you need to, like, micromanage your position and stuff like that. You can't just run around and shoot in Hush. You need to actually be careful and, like, be deliberate about where you're...
There's actual, like, attack patterns to dodge.
If you replace me or Mana with a brand new player, that brand new player is going to get destroyed, and we will probably be fine.
Yeah, a new player...
Me and Mana in Delirium, and put with the same run that new player, I actually don't think our results would even be that different.
For real. Like, you tell the new player to circle the room and shoot, it probably wouldn't be that different. No, you're actually right. That's actually such a cooked response. We
might have a slightly higher win rate, but it would definitely be way less difference than it would be for Hush or Mega Satan.
It's true. That's actually a good analogy. I like that. That's a good point, because you just tell somebody to circle around the room and shoot, and that's basically what we would do too. Like, it's...
So, like, yes, occasionally he teleports in front of you, and you will have a moment like, oh, you react fast enough, you move out of the way. That's like the extent of what you need to do as Thor. That's it.
Delirium sucks ass, man. And it's a shame because, again, for someone like me who did all of Afterbirth, and that was the only boss I was fighting, honestly, I got burnt out on the game. I really did. I got super burnt out. I finally ended up completing it for Afterbirth Plus, but I didn't even feel satisfied. I really didn't. Every single run was basically a stomp, because it's either you get super OP and stomp Delirium, or Delirium just slowly takes you down.
I agree. No, I've had good runs. Like I had a not too long ago, I don't think. I had a lost run with 9 lives, and it was a very good run. I still died to Delirium multiple times. I won still because my run was very good, but I still died to Delirium multiple times. Why? Because he would BS hit me into BS hit me. They're like, okay, cool. Like, what can you do?
Man.
Yeah.
I honestly,
especially bad.
You know what? I'll be honest. I think if they were going to improve Delirium, I think that they should just definitely get rid of the speed up thing. I don't know why the hell they thought that was a good idea. Get rid of that. But even outside of that, because when I really look at the boss, even at normal speed, I think maybe he should transform less. Like, less often.
What I think. And
I think it should be like...
This would be a very ambitious redesign of the boss, like very ambitious, and it would take a lot of time. But here's my ideal way you could make the Delirium work, like in the same concept where it transforms into bosses. What it should be is you can only transform into the bosses that are on your void floor, and by visiting those bosses, you can then see what his transformations are. And every boss in the game gives him one attack. And like it would be kind of like a boss like Mother, where it has an attack pattern, but Delirium's attack pattern would be different every run because he's taking it from different bosses. He just gets one attack for each different boss in Void. So, for example, if you transform into Monstro, he'll have one attack which is the same every time, where maybe he like jumps around the room and does some monstrous long shots at you, where it's like actually balanced to be a fair attack. Like it's manually put in. Again, it would take a lot of effort to do that, but I think that's how you would.
I think
a good fair design boss.
Or here's my pitch. Let's say Delirium has 10 phases, let's say. Every 1/10 of his health, he switches forms into one of the other forms of bosses, and then he doesn't transform
he's
again.
kind of like a super version of that boss he can.
Oh yeah, and like he always has the same like boss armor, right? Like you can't, like if he spawns into like, I don't know.
Boss armor, but also like a lot more advanced attacks, which are still fair.
I honestly, they could do the same attacks as the normal one. They honestly could.
I think same attacks would be a little bit boring.
Okay, and also like, also like maybe putting out like tiers like for a mom's foot attack or something. Like, you're right, but like,
yeah.
I don't know, like upgraded attacks, but like still like at its core, you're still dodging
fair.
like the same
actually,
character.
like intentionally designed fair attacks rather than.
Because I think the idea conceptually, Delirium is not bad, right? I mean, if you look back at Afterbirth Plus, he's the boss that copies all the other bosses. He's like the quintessential boss of the game, in a way.
Yeah.
He transforms into all the bosses. But the way he does it is just so RNG and BS. Like, honestly, I really like my pitch in a way, because it's like, And the boss he transforms into a random every run. So there you go. It's a roguelike final boss. It's random every run.
Well, that's what I was saying, where he can only transform into the bosses on the void floor. Because then you would be able to go to those bosses.
That'd be fun
and find
too,
out
yeah.
what his attack plans are for that fight.
I just don't want him to
and it's
randomly.
random every run.
I just don't want him to randomly transform. Is my only thing. I want it to be like. I want it to be like, okay, here's the boss I am right now, and then focus on that for a little bit, and now I'm transforming again. It's like they're different phases.
Yeah. No, I like that as well. I think we both have a similar idea where he's given more intentional attacks that he cycles through rather than doing whatever the fuck he wants.
I think it should be more of a focus on actually transforming into another boss rather than, like instant attack out of nowhere that you never could have told. Because that's basically what the fight turns into. He transforms instantly, because at 3 times speed, you just don't have enough time to react. It's just instant.
He literally will, like, he can either teleport, or he can just move across the room. Like, he can turn into, what's a boss that dashes? Gertie Jr., I guess, and can just fly across the room.
It's so ridiculous.
You're moving at the speed of light, I guess.
It's actually ridiculous. All right, let's move on, though. I think we've said enough. I think it's definitely dog
actually,
water.
no, another thing to add. We've just been talking about Delirium. The Void floor as well is way too big and boring, and uninteresting. So that doesn't help, and the portals RNG. Yeah, it's definitely dog water. We can go on, though.
Okay, Mother. So...
Okay, I'll do this one.
Yeah, sure.
This is my top pick, goated.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally, will do Mother Streak. I do Mother Streaks. This is what I pick to streak the game, because the regular chest and dark room are a bit too easy. And I feel like Mother is a good mix of being difficult, but also you can get there consistently. The only way you can fail to meet this requirement is if you forget, which, don't forget. Or 2, if you get really, really, really rolled on keys early on. Like, you'd have to get really bad key luck to not get 1 key for Downpour. If that ever happens to me, I'm just going to debug console 1 in. I don't really care too much. It happens right at the beginning of the run. Or you could just reset the run if you, like, really care. But yeah, like, yeah, you basically will get this every time, as long as you're not, like, spending keys and bombs that you shouldn't be. And you have to go to Alt Path. I think Alt Path is great fun. It is difficult. And then I do think the actual boss is a little bit of an easy point in the run. I will say Corpse is probably the worst point. A Corpse is easier than a Womb, it feels, which is weird. Because
I disagree. I think, well, maybe it is actually.
Yeah, all the other alt floors are harder. Like, I would say Downpour is a little bit easier than Caves, but definitely harder than Basement by far.
I guess conceptually it kind of makes sense that Corpse would be easier, right? Because like you killed Mom's heart just flat out, and then you're
I guess
entering her and she's freaking dead, right?
I guess so. No, I'm a little bit disappointed with the Corpse floor. I think Mother is a good boss fight though. She's got fair attacks. Yeah, I don't know. I do really like the fight. You're not really forced to like go angel rooms every time, which is a minor problem. Mega Satan, like it's just a good run.
Yeah, you're not gonna hear any argument from me. The only negative I think to Mother, I mean everything that you said with I completely agree with. I think it as an entire run, like all put together, it feels very satisfying. Doing the alt paths is unique. That, you know, going back to what I said about Boss Rush, it's very unique to be forced to do the alt paths. Even in the alt paths, you're doing different things. Like you're turning into the Lost on the Mirror World. That's interesting. My only negative is that the Mom run is not replayable at all, and we all know it. The Mom run is not replayable. But that's one part of the run. So, and let's be honest, the first time you did that crap was hype.
Oh, you mean the Mom's Shadow segment?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that does get a bit old having to do that.
No, it gets really old. It gets really old.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a flying character. I mean, to be fair, you just zoom through it at that point. But yeah, that's like the only negative of the run, though.
A minor negative, yeah.
Yeah, it's one small thing. Everything else, and again, even conceptually, like you might as well cancel it out because the first time you did that shadow run, that crap was hype, and it was scary. It was scary.
Oh my god.
That's the first time I've ever played Isaac, and I was scared. Unironically, I had goosebumps. I had goosebumps in Isaac. Like that was so hype.
No.
But yeah.
I do kind of wish the puzzles you didn't have to do them every time, but because I'm pretty sure in Anti-Birth you only have to do the puzzles once per save file, and then they made it you have to do it every time, which is a little bit weird of a change. But it kind of makes sense at the same time. Yeah, like the downpour one is fine because it's quick. But the Mom's Shadow one, it's like it's the same thing. You never have your items. It is a bit weird. You have to do it every time, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I no argument putting it at the top. I think conceptually and everything, and it just feels like the most full run. The entire run feels satisfying. Yeah. Like it's not even just the finale, like with Beast. That's one of my biggest negatives with Beast. We're gonna get there, but I think Beast is only amazing at the very end, whereas this entire run feels very satisfying.
Yes. I will say as well, me and Matt are talking about this a little bit ago, like right before we started recording. I do think, like, I do wish there was a harder completion mark. This is my run I go to streak, and I do wish it was actually a bit harder. But we do have to acknowledge that I have 2,500 hours in the game.
Yeah, my whole argument against him, and this is to anybody watching this video, if you think that Isaac is too easy, play a different video game or play some mods, because it is insane. No, like honestly, it is insane for you to say, "Oh, the game's too easy," when you have over 2,000 hours in the game.
Okay,
of course, it's too easy. Of course, it's too easy.
No, I know. I'm not complaining about the route. I just wish there was a slightly harder boss. That's it. But like, I still.
To you, like to a lot of people, the boss is really hard.
I know that.
Like, hell, I have friends.
I don't.
I have so many friends that struggle on both Beast and Mother on a daily basis. They're
bad.
like, no, they just don't have over 500. They have like less than 100 hours. Like, it's so different. It's just so different. Yeah, but no, the game is designed. The game is designed well. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's why Mother is dog water, because it's too easy. Actually, all of them are dog water. This game sucks. It's too easy. That's why I've never played it. That's why I stopped after 2 minutes. Anyway, next one.
This is also the hardest run in the game, I would argue. Just my
I would say so. That's why.
But it's satisfying for that reason.
It is satisfying.
Okay, Beast. So I guess I'm ending on this one.
Yep.
Dog water. All right, bye. No, I'm just kidding. So this, I think nobody can disagree that cinematically this is the most epic final boss, right?
It is so good cinematically. Oh my god, I was a bit blown away.
I was,
because Isaac is not like a game that's known for its graphics, but the graphics in this fight are actually good, like the pixel art graphics.
But the scenario, the theming, everything is just epic. You get you literally turn into an angel. You literally turn into an angel. You're flying above lava. You get wings. You get a mantle. Like, it's like you get like a little buff, but it's like for the context of like the game, right? Like, it's cool.
And even Dogma right before it, like you fight the Christian broadcast.
I know! It's so cool! You fight the Christian... Man, I was gonna put it at top of great, but the more I talk about it, it really is so cool. It really is cool.
Okay, I will say, if this was just cinematics, this is top.
But it's such a strong point in its favor, though. It's honestly such a perfect final boss, contextually.
Yeah.
It's actually perfect. You fight the Christian broadcasts, and then you fight the Beast in, like, Isaac's mind or whatever. Which is Mom.
Like the boss rush of the Harbingers, like the buffed Harbingers. I like that. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
I love this whole fight. However, it's a little bit too easy. I wish it was harder.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said the thing about the whole, like, if you have 2,000 hours, just play different games. Don't complain about the stupid game that you have 2,000 hours in. But I will say, when I combine Dogma, Harbingers, and Beast, I still think the fight itself is slightly harder than Mother, but even then, that's kind of a hard argument. The fact that it's a hard argument is kind of rough, considering this is the final boss of the game. Like, this is the quintessential final boss.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Turt made a good point in DMs yesterday when we were talking about this list. The fact that that whenever you get to the Beast phase, most experienced players specifically are gonna beat him. Like, they're gonna skip his second phase. They're gonna get to first phase and then crush his health down until he gets to his third phase. So he skips second phase.
So this is my biggest problem. I'll quickly explain. So Dogma, I think, is actually completely fine. I love Dogma.
Yeah.
Then you go to Harbingers. The Harbingers don't have...
Actually, wait. Let me pause you on Dogma, because one of my favorite things about Dogma, this is so small, but first time I fought Dogma, I was blown away. Because Dogma is the only boss in the game that hard counters circling around him. Bro, he said Brimstone Beam, and then it teleports the way that you're running away from. That crap is so hyped to me.
Some people think the Brim Snap is BS, but actually...
It's so good.
The first time.
No.
The first time you get hit by it...
Oh, yeah. But that's a good thing. No, because you're so used to circling bosses. They're like, oh, shoot, wait, he just countered me. Yeah. I love that attack.
No, I think Dogma Fight is very good. And then the Harbingers, they do have a bit of basic attack patterns, but they're fine. And then you get to Beast, and here's the problem. So Beast will do the same thing for the first part of the fight. You just weave between some stalagmites. She does the fire attack, where she's like sucking in the thing, and then she does a brimstone beam. So that's all the same. And then after that, she'll try to go into phase 2. However, if you've already done enough damage to her to make her enter phase 2, she doesn't enter until she's done that first attack pattern of phase 1. If you've not done that, she does more things in phase 1. But if you've already done enough, you could potentially do enough damage during that one attack she always does at the start of phase 1 to get her right into phase 3. And phase 3 is really underwhelming. Like, it just is really underwhelming. Because phase 3 is literally just more dodging between stalagmites and the beast basically doing nothing. Phase 2 is interesting. It has so many cool attacks that I never get to see.
Yeah.
Because I very
and me too.
Even on runs that aren't that good, I will very consistently skip phase 2 entirely, or I'll be in phase 2 for like 15 seconds and then
and me too. And that honestly is a fair point. I don't mean to cut you short, but like
yeah, that's fine.
It is true. Like I want to preface that most average players will still see phase 2 because their average item intake is not as much as like an experienced player, because experienced players
maxing, so their run won't be as busted.
Yeah. So generally they'll see at least a good amount of phase 2, but still less than usual because again, like you're still attacking him a lot in phase 1. I don't know. I think from a difficulty standpoint, I don't think it's bad. I'll say it right now. I really don't. Some people say this boss is way too piss-ass easy.
Me.
But when I compare it to every boss in the game, I really don't think it's that bad. I think it's fine. Like, I think Hush is harder. I mean, Delirium's harder, yeah, but for BS reasons. I think Hush
Delirium is harder for the wrong reasons, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I actually think Hush is the only boss that I think is harder when I really think about it.
I do hard disagree with that. I think besides Lamb and Blue Baby.
But I'm talking about from the perspective of a new player, though, I should say. Not from me. From me, I think probably I don't know, it's tough. It's still tough then.
So me and Matt, we accidentally talked about this a bit too much in DMs before because we kind of just got into the just talk about it. But for me personally, when I first started playing Repentance, Mother still got me a few times. Dogma got me a few times. Beast, I died once, and then I didn't really die again for quite a while. So even when I was new to the Repentance bosses, Beast was still easy to me, which I do think, like, yes, I did have, at that time, I had 1,000 hours in After Earth Plus going into Repentance, so yes, I will be better than the average player. But still, the fact that Beast became kind of free for me after one attempt, I do think speaks to the boss being too easy. Like I'm not gonna knock Mother or Mega Satan for being too easy for me, because I do recognize that they're too easy for me because I have 2,000 hours. But Beast, I do actually just think is too easy.
I think I just realized the design philosophy behind the boss itself while talking about it. I think this boss is just meant to be cinematic and a finality to Isaac. Like, I don't even think the boss is meant to be. I don't think the boss is meant to be hard. I think when I look at the fights side by side, like Mother and Beast, I think Mother was definitely designed to be like a difficult boss. Whereas I think
can kind of see that.
Where I think Beast was designed to be epic. You know, the scenario is epic. You're running across and stalactites are falling on you, and like Beast is chasing you. You're beating all the Harbingers that you've been fighting throughout the entire game. You fight the Christian broadcasts. Like, I think it's all cinematic. It's all epic. It's not really about how hard the fight is. And I think...
I will say, one weird thing for me is the stalagmites in Phase 2 actually, like, there's broken ones and they try to fall on you, and I like that. But then in Phase 3, they don't have the broken ones. I really don't get it. I just don't get that at all. Phase 3 would have actually been a little bit interesting if it had broken stalagmites still.
Man, I don't know. I want to go back to my positives, because I think we've talked... That's... Okay, the only two major negatives are that, sure, to an experienced player, Beast is pretty easy, right? But that's only... I would still argue Dogma still has some pretty hard to dodge attacks, though.
So, I do have a problem. So, Dogma, I think, is, like, fine difficulty-wise. I just really wish... Oh, it would be fine difficulty-wise if you didn't get healed to 6 hearts and get a mantle after beating Dogma. I honestly think...
But again, cinematic-wise, that's so cool.
I do like it.
It's designed for the first time you do it, is the thing. And you know what? Taking myself out of the replayability factor of it for a second, it really made the moments so much more epic. I mean, you could look back on my first impression of the boss. When I first saw the cutscene and everything, and beating Dogma, and doing the fight, I mean, I was never so satisfied playing Isaac in my entire life. I really wasn't.
I will say...
First time you beat Beast...
The first time you fight it. The first time you fight this boss, it is...
That's like the highlight. That's the highlight you play Isaac.
Yeah, it is just really disappointing to me that I feel like it kind of, like, it's cool the first time, and then afterwards you kind of realize that it's not actually that special. Tell me the
freaking cutscene at the end of the run is not the most epic for Beast.
No, it's really cool. It's just, there's no replay value on this fight. Do you ever go to Beast on, like, a run that isn't a completion mark?
Yes! No, I was going to make that argument, by the way. I think Beast is still the second most satisfying run. Well...
I kind of hard disagree. I don't really find the Ascent that fun.
No, you're right. But the finality to it carries so hard. You're right. The entire run is not. In fact, I would even argue that I hate how you access it. I don't know why they decided it was a good idea to make you use a full card on the mom's foot. I just think that's silly. I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten.
Go top of great, just because I don't really have much bad to say about Harsh Mega Satan or Mother. I have quite a few bad things to say about Beast. I still think it's really good. So it's
and I agree. Okay, but I agree with that, with the fact that there are negatives. But I think the greats are higher than anything in the entire game. And I really...
It actually is. But I just think...
I'm gonna fight for Goated. I will. Even if it's the bottom of Goated. Because, man, emotionally, it's such a big deal. It's so big on finality.
I just think because it is so cool the first time, I just wish it kind of even like slightly kept that hype. But it's cool the first time, and then it gets old so quickly.
Man, I you know what? No, I'm gonna make that a moot point by saying I still think it's epic. To this day, I still think this scenario is epic.
Well, okay, I still think it's epic. I just think it...
And it's still... No, I would even still argue it's a satisfying end to a run. Whenever I beat a Beast run, I go, let's go. I did it. I don't feel the same way about a lot of these bosses. I don't feel the same way about Chest and Darkroom at all. Obviously, these are meant for, like, different skilled players.
Those ones are easy. Well, here's the thing. When I do character unlocks, I usually like to do them in a very set order. So, I'll do... I mean, actually, I said the order before. I'll do Greed Mode first, usually. I'll just get Greed Mode out of the way.
I don't care about your order. I don't care about your order. All I want to hear... No, it's not relevant, Turt. I know it's not relevant. I just know it isn't. Like...
No, let me finish, please.
Oh, fine. Jesus.
I'll do a Boss Rush and Chest run, which is easy. I'll do a Mega Satan run, and sometimes I go alt path through that. I usually like that run. Then I do Harsh and Delirium. It's... Delirium. Then I do Mother, which I like that run, and then I do Beast, and I always end on Beast, and it's so easy. Like, it feels like after I've beaten the Mother run that I've basically got like the win already, because like the Beast run is just it's so nothing to me, unfortunately. Like it's not even satisfying to me because it's just that easy, and I'm just a bit disappointed that it's such I feel like I feel like it had more potential. That if the fight was just a bit harder, or if, like, he literally just needs more health. If he had more health, I would be so much more okay with it. but he dies too quickly.
Okay, the boss is... Man.
If you didn't skip phase 2 every time, 100% he's goated. But you skip phase 2 every time, and it's really sad. It's
no,
so
but
sad.
I think that's kind of that's a pretty small part of the fight. Like...
Okay, but it feels like such a big design flaw. Like, even if you're right that he wasn't meant to be a hard boss and Mother was meant to be the hard boss, I think that is a fair argument to make. I still think, given that, it does feel like an oversight that you...
It's an oversight only for experienced players. I wanna make that point abundantly clear. Most people that play this game are not stomping Beast.
Okay.
Most
90%
90% of all players do not stomp Beast. Now, granted, people watching this video probably do stomp Beast because they're probably Isaac nerds like us. But
okay,
for the average player, they do not stomp Beast.
I think if they just gave him a bit more health and they made phase 3 less part of the fight, like lower the threshold to enter phase 3, so you're less likely to skip all of phase 3.
I think the only... I do... For me personally, I would hope that they give him more health because that would make my time with him fighting better. But I actually don't even think that would necessarily make him a better designed boss because then he's just too hard for new players. I think... maybe even just, like, get rid of first phase.
I could kind of see that.
Like, just get rid of it.
I honestly think just get
because
rid of
honestly, you already run away from him. You
phase?
already run away from him in third phase, so just put the spikes from first phase in third phase. And then final phase, you run away from him, dodge spikes at the same time. I think that'd be kind of...
You already dodged spikes in first phase. Like, third phase is the...
But that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. If you got rid of first phase and you took the spikes from first phase into third phase, I think it would actually be pretty intense. And, okay, but I say that, but I still think the fight is intense because of the scenario. I mean...
I really like this scenario. I'm not gonna...
but I'm saying to this day, as much time as I've put into this game, I still feel completely satisfied at the end of every single Beast run. I do.
I will say, like, I really like the background fight. Like, there's all the lava. Like, you see the...
It's satisfying.
Beast. It's so cool.
Satisfaction,
so cool.
whether you stomp
you're
the boss or
technically in a
not,
crawl
you
space.
did that crap.
You're technically in a crawl space. It's just, there's a lot of cool things about it. I can see it being goated, but I don't think it can go any higher than where it is.
I guess that's fair. I definitely think it should be goated just because of all the amazing things that I've said. Honestly, if it were me alone, the more I talk about its amazing things, and you're right, there are negatives, as these two don't have as big negatives, I'd put it here. I really would. Because I think its grades are so much higher than everything in the game. Like, by a lot. I think, and yes, I know it's only first time you fight it, but I think it was unironically the greatest moment I've ever had playing Isaac was watching the Beast cutscene play, and then, like, Isaac's dad is the freaking announcer this whole time, the narrator.
Oh, yeah.
So hype, man. Like, I don't know, it fills me with such butterflies even. And for me to say that about this game that I've become kind of numb to, like, that's a big deal.
I will say, the Beast fight kind of... I did like the Delirium ending, like the ending cutscene of Delirium. That is the only good thing, Delirium related. The ending cutscene after you beat Delirium is the only good thing out of it. But the Beast, like, cutscene, like, it does feel like it ties up the lore quite well. Like, I do think, like...
It does.
Like,
it's the first time I've ever cared about the lore. I want to put that out there. I never cared about Isaac lore before Beast. I never did. It was just whatever. I play the game for the game.
I cared slightly. I did like the Delirium ending, but, like, I do think the Beast ending is better. Like,
Beast had me hooked. Beast had me hooked. I was in. Oh, yeah, and even the run itself. Oh, my God. Wait. I forgot. Oh, I was so focused on doing the Fool card that, honestly, conceptually, going back through the floors, the Ascent is kind of a cool idea.
Oh, and Home is really cool of a floor.
Home is cool. Talk about a build-up room like Hush. Like, it's so cool. Oh my God, no way. Now I really do want it here. Cause like, how cool is it that when you bomb that rug in any other time in the run, there's a crawl space under, and there's no crawl space. I actually have a meme in my streams. Whenever I do a Beast run, I always bomb. even though there's nothing there. Oh,
I
it's so cool! It's actually so cool. Wait.
I will say another thing about the ending. So there's a cool like thing where all of the hand-drawn cutscenes are Isaac like making things up, and then all of the other cutscenes are things that actually happen.
Oh.
Like, the cutscene where he gets locked in the closet is real, but the Beast ending is hand-drawn. It's not real. It's just in his mind. And the opening cutscene of the game is hand-drawn because it's not real. His mom's not actually trying to kill him. Like, I really like that lore thing. It's just a minor theme that the Beast ending kind of leans into.
Turd, I really want to put it here now. I'm just remembering so much amazing things about the Beast run. Like,
Look,
during the ascent, you hear Isaac's mom and dad fighting each other in the run when you're playing.
Okay.
And I meme that so much.
Can I make a trade offer? I'll let you put Beasts there if you put Boss Rush and Ill.
No, that's so irrelevant. That's not. No, we're talking about this right now. Beast. I'm saying objectively, the heights and the drama of it, and like how engaging it is. I mean, and I do meme over it because of its replayability. Like hearing Isaac's mom and dad fighting. Like I'm like,
I do meme them as well.
Because it's funny, right? But man, tell me that first time you played it was not so freaking hype. Look,
I still will stand by it. The first time I did Ascent was cool. The first time I did the Beast fight was really cool. But Ascent specifically falls off a lot. Ascent feels very repetitive and boring now. And like I just think the replay value of this completion mark is very low. And that is
but I think that's its only negative.
Okay, but this is a roguelike game, okay?
Yes.
If this was a story RPG, then 100% it goes here. If anything, it goes at the top. If this was
I think if it did have good replayability,
is the point of a roguelike.
If it did have good replayability though, it would instantly be it'd be a whole nother tier above.
I agree. If this fight was like, if I was more satisfied with the difficulty and if the replay value was better.
No, okay, it's stupid to say that the fight itself is worth bringing down an entire tier. I'm sorry, it's dumb because your experience is clouding you. It's clouding you. The fight itself is well designed. It is very well designed. Anybody with look, if you're gonna say the fight is too easy, it's because you have over.
No, again,
300 hours in a game.
I still died to Mother and Dogma a few times before I actually learnt them when I got New to Repentance. But Beast happened once, and then I just beat him easily every time afterwards.
Yes, because you're better at moving. Like, an experienced player is always going to be better at moving.
My point is the other Repentance bosses, I didn't immediately learn. Even as an
and that's probably because their fights are objectively harder. That's probably because their fights are objectively harder. But either way, whatever. I don't care.
Which is my point, that I think Beast is too easy.
Whatever. I don't even necessarily think it's a bad. Whatever. That's not the point I'm trying to get across here. Like, it does. I mean, hey, I was talking about uniqueness. This is, man. There's so many great things.
I will also say the run is too short, which is another reason I don't like it for replay value.
I still think it's bigger than Chest.
No, Chest is a longer run.
No.
100% Chest is a longer run.
I don't think so.
100%. Okay, so you basically start Ascent on Room 1 because you go to Mausoleum 2, which is in the same position as Room 1. So
Beast is definitely longer.
So yeah, but then Ascent is so fast. Like, you rapid fire Ascent. Meanwhile, in a chest run...
Yeah, but there's also a lot of runs where you need to build yourself up in Ascent and, like, get stuff.
I don't know, I just think...
Especially if you skip item rooms. If you're being optimal, you're skipping item rooms, too. To get Planetarium in the regular run.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. I mean, if you really think I should put it back down, then I will. But
I think it should stay below Hush, but I'm fine with it being goated.
Whatever. It was the greatest moment I've ever had playing Isaac, and that's a big deal. Like,
it is kind of a big deal, but
the greatest
at the same time.
And I know you say the replayability thing, but I think in any game, it doesn't matter whether it's a roguelike or anything, your favorite moment is a big deal. The most
I will say this
contextually.
It was my favorite moment the first time, but the immense disappointment of what could have been also weighs down on me a lot to this day. So it's also given me like one of the worst moments of Isaac.
Man, this is kind of I go back into why I think it's actually a well-designed fight, because I think it being a little easier is a good thing, because like you wouldn't be able to really appreciate the moment if it was dick ass hard. Like you'd be way too pogging over actually beating it than being focused on what's actually going on.
I would want it to just be a little bit more difficult. Like, I don't think Mother or Mega Satan are that hard. I mean, I'm good at the game, that's why. But I don't think they're that hard. Like, they're not like crazy like Dark Souls bosses, right? That's all I care. Like, I just want Beast to be a decently hard fight. Not like insanely difficult. Just not easy.
Compared to all the bosses in the game, he's not easy.
I do think he is easy.
Whatever. I don't care. It's a moot point, because I'm looking at it from an average player standpoint, and it's completely different. I don't know. Whatever. Just leave it there. But I think this feels a lot more contextually correct, because I think this is the most satisfying ending that Isaac could ever have. Yes, its replay value is a factor, and that's why it's below Mother. But yeah, I don't know. It's a big deal. All right, I guess that'll be it though. I'll let Turt have this one. I guess.
Funny? You know what's funny? We talked about boss rush so long that we would have missed the boss rush timer.
I know.